Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this live stream.
Put it on my feed.
Yeah, you're going to put on your feed. Yes, indeed. So, guys, on my community page, I'm sure you guys must have noticed by now, there is actually, sorry.
This debate. Did you watch it?
No. So, guys, on my feed, I've been putting up 13th of November, the protest that is going to happen, inshallah, in London. This is in conjunction with the Turkestan National Day, which is the 12th of November. Because it's a Friday, it's going to be difficult for people to come out, so we decided on a Saturday. And so Saturday the 13th, we're going to be outside the Chinese embassy in London. We're going to be also outside the Chinese consulate in Manchester. We're going to have a range of fantastic speakers speaking on this issue. Salman Butt, Sheikh Haytham, our own Hijab. We're going to have Maulana Yunus Dudwala. We're going to have Abdullah Landalusi. Right? Yeah. Dili. We're going to have Dili Hussain. We're going to have Anas Al-Taqiti.
No. Did you say Dili Hussain?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to come. Only kidding.
What else? Yeah, a whole.
I like Dili Hussain. That's why I can make these kind of jokes. Just in case.
Yeah, no, Dili's a legend, mashallah. So, what it is we want to speak about the fact that we will not abandon our brothers and sisters in East Turkestan. I want to, Hijab, just go over today some hard facts. Just hard facts.
I think you should, man.
You
know the facts.
Just hard facts, and we can discuss them, okay? So the first hard fact to keep in mind is this. Anybody can come up with nuances and differences of opinion, but I'm just going to give hard facts.
Please.
Here's a hard fact.
Yeah.
That region is not Chinese. The name of the region is Xinjiang. They call it Xinjiang.
Yeah.
Xinjiang means new frontier.
Yeah.
So the Chinese, they expanded into this area in the 18th century, and they called it Xinjiang, new territory. But its technical name, its technical name.
Hopefully it's not a Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah. If they're here, bro, that's it. What are you going to pick up?
I got the stuff.
I got this. Squirt them in the eye. Yeah. So with this region, the Chinese have been dominating this region since the 18th century. And what they've done is very similar to what happened in South Africa, very similar to what's happened in Palestine, which is that they've been sending in settlers, Chinese settlers, so that in the 1940s, the vast majority of that region, which is 1/6 of China, it was Muslim. Today, it's almost 50% Han Chinese and 50% Turkic. Now, something very important. That region is Turkic. It is not Chinese. And Uyghurs get very annoyed when they are called Chinese Muslims. Because it's almost like this. Imagine Egypt is colonized. Is colonized by, say, the French. And the French
almost happened.
Imagine if Napoleon started sending in French settlers, and over time half of Egypt became French. The Egyptians, in fact, they would say, "No, you guys get out. This is our land." Even if the French stay there for 1,000 years.
I was hoping that would be the case, man. But some of them were really taking that propaganda in the late 1700s.
Yeah. So that's another thing about the region. Yeah, the first thing about the region is that it was occupied by China.
Yes.
And then they used the settler system. The other thing to keep in mind is that religion has been curtailed in this area for a very long time because they're communist. Now, I want to not speak about the current what's going on. I just want to give a few examples of things that they are 100% is proven that the Chinese did. When the Chinese decided to do nuclear weapons and test them, where did they decide to test them? In East Turkestan. And they did the test there, and that test, according to some, it led to the deaths of over 100,000 people.
When did this happen?
This is, I don't know the year. This is decades ago.
You said hard facts, you don't know the year? You're meant to be the leading expert.
Yeah. No, I'll have to Google the year. This is a long time ago. We're talking about decades ago. They did these tests. And over a series of a long period of time. It wasn't just one test. They did these tests. The area is called Lop Nur, where they did this particular test. Okay, so that killed people. Now, they've curtailed religion for a long time in that region. They don't allow children to go to the masjid. This was a long-term policy that they had. They now have a system where they've shut down all the masjids, and they're putting people in political education, vocational education programs. Now, I want to ask you a question. You know, we say concentration camps. These people are in concentration camps. They're being killed. They're being raped. Their organs are being harvested. The number one evidence for this is all of the Uyghurs that have fled, their personal testimonies, and there's over 100,000 in diaspora all over the world. So how could all of these people be lying? You know, these people who come up with conspiracy theories and stuff like this, how could all of these people be lying that, okay, you know, it's like...
Well, do you know what's amazing? I saw one really good thing from Vice News. Have you seen that one?
Which one? I've seen quite a few.
The Uyghur one. Have you seen
there's a few of them.
Brilliant. Don't you think they're good?
Yeah, the one where they went there and they secretly filmed with a woman.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
If people want, look, because we're talking now, but I feel like that woman did a great job.
She did a good job.
Great job. If you go on Vice News, you're able to see what happened.
And the mosque is a museum. That one, yeah, and where people pay to go to the mosque and stuff like that. There's an Arab YouTuber who actually, I don't know how he managed to do it. Maybe because he was speaking Arabic, so no one realized what he's doing. He actually went. He's a vlogger. He's very popular. He's got like over 1 million subscribers, right? So he went to East Turkestan and he showed how the masjid is shut. He showed how people are afraid to say Assalamu alaikum. He showed how everyone is living in this state of fear. So he did this independently. He didn't do it now. He did this like maybe 3 years ago, stuff like this. So we have these independent vloggers who also have verified this. Now, this political education, the Chinese government doesn't deny that these camps exist. This is very important to understand. They don't deny. They say these are vocational camps where everyone happens to go voluntarily. Isn't that a miracle? Isn't that a miracle that you get millions of people who voluntarily leave their families and go live in a camp? That's what they want us to believe. That all of these people, imagine in the UK, we gave everybody a choice to just go to a vocational camp and just learn some skills. How much of the population would go to these camps? So the thing is, their own narrative doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing to keep in mind is that we have hard data, researchers who've translated Chinese documents from hospitals, from local government agencies, and all these types of things.
Where can we get this data?
So, and Adrian Zentz, he's one of the researchers who is like pretty much number one in the world. He's compiling this data. There's on the Uyghur Tribunal website, you have a whole list of researchers, and I don't know how many there are now because we had the first hearing, the second hearing, and the results going to come in December. You literally see one academic after another, and I interviewed some of these academics like Professor John Packer, and they will give you satellite imagery, they'll give you statistics, and the Chinese are so clumsy that a lot of this stuff is literally taken from their websites before they realize that this was happening, and then they try to whatever sort it out. So this hard data that we have is from academics who've shown population has been dropping, and there are testimonies which add up to organ harvesting, rape, sexual and physical torture, the separation of children from their parents, and the estimations are 500,000 children. 500,000 children have been forcibly removed from their parents. So, all of these things, putting them together, it is incumbent upon the Muslims to get together and to speak about this, because if we do not, we will be accountable before Allah.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to do whatever we can in our capacity. Yeah. So everyone, I mean, mashallah, our brother Muhammad Hadib, one of our long-time supporters from mashallah Palestine, you know what he said.
He live in Palestine?
No, he goes there regularly, but he's living in Canada, right? So this brother, he said something on Twitter which was beautiful, right? Because as a Palestinian, he can say, our people suffer, but you know what he said? He basically said that what the Uyghurs are going through is far worse, and he's a Palestinian. Imagine what the Palestinians are going through, right? And he's saying what the Uyghurs are going through is far, far worse. In fact, some of the Uyghurs, they say if we were sent to Gaza, we would treat it as a holiday compared to where we are right now. Okay, guys, as usual, we're going to be inviting guests to be coming and
Have you prayed, Aisha?
speaking. Yes, I have. You haven't prayed.
I'm going to pray and I'll be back, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
So you take a couple of guests and I'll be back.
No worries at all. Let's do this, guys. Here we go. So I've just put out the link. Mao Zedong was a tyrant and took over. Someone said, what will hijab pray? Hijab will pray Isha. Nope, he's not doing Qiyam. Guys, we've had some risks previously, okay? A few of the Dawah channels. So we're going to have to apply some criteria before people are added on to the chat. So firstly, put your questions in the private chat, as always. And secondly, before I bring you on, you have to switch on your camera, because we've had a few crazy incidents in terms of live chats. And there's a serious security risk. So to the channel, right? To many different channels. So you're going to have to switch on your camera. Jazakallah khair. I can see one brother switched it on right now. And if you can post your questions as well. Okay. Okay, one person has written a question. Live and Learn has their camera on. If you can put in your question. Zaid Patel, if you can put in your question, please, my brother. Boxing MMA. Is that your only question? Abdurrahman Hosseini, in brackets, he says Arab Bedouin. Can you switch on your camera before I allow you on, my brother Abdurrahman Hosseini? There you are, my brother. Assalamu alaikum. You have to switch on your you have to leave your camera on. Where's the brother gone? Can you guys tell me in the chat if my footage is a little bit slow? Because on my side, things seem a little bit jittery. David Williamson, welcome. Please put in your question in the private chat. Live and Learn, please put your question in the private chat. Mahad, please put your question. No, you did. Question about evolution. Why not? Since hijab's not here. Dion. Assalamu alaikum, Mahad. How are you doing?
Walaikum salam. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York, upstate New York in Albany.
Nice. I always wanted to go to New York. Never been.
We would love to have you. I'm actually one of the event coordinators at the University at Albany of the Muslim Student Association. We would love to host you or Brother Hijab for in the future, inshallah. Anytime you are.
Inshallah, why not? Why not? I want to go. What's that thing? There's a place everyone keeps talking about food in New York. Halal guys. Yeah, I want to go there. Inshallah.
Of course. All right. So my question is regarding evolution. So I've seen a little while back. I saw one of your lectures. I can't remember the exact university. I think the title was Islam, Evolution, and something else that I can't remember. But mashallah, it was really well done lecture. I learned a lot, and I even recommended some of my non-Muslim friends to it. I thought they might be interested. And again, this was a while back. Just quick question. I really don't remember if you maybe touched up upon this, but my question is: so what would you say? Obviously, the notion that humans have like in the macro sense that we've evolved from apes and like we share an ancestor with other primates and chimps and so on. Obviously, that's you totally obliterated that notion and with the whole lecture. But what about like in terms of micro evolution, with the fact that we have different races and how our bodies change with the depending on the climate and the region that we live in. For example, like East Asians versus South Asians, Africans, all these things, and how we were all Bani Adam, we were children of Adam, but perhaps over time we all spread out and we changed into different types of people. And so, what would you say? Like, what's the sort of in the micro sense, like evolution? We've sort of, for the lack of a better term, we've evolved into looking into these different races and all that. Because to the best of my knowledge, we know like Adam alayhi salam, he had like lots of children and twins and all those and they married amongst each other to create more children. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know if him and Hawa alayhi salam gave birth to different races of children. I mean, I personally don't know. Maybe that was the case, but yeah, what would you say to that? Like the Islamic view on micro evolution in terms of that?
Yeah, I think before I answer the question, let me just repeat for everybody the broader outline of what our approach is. So the first thing is we would accept Darwinian evolution as a valid scientific theory, right? We'd accept it as valid science. We just wouldn't accept it to be true literally. So that's the first point, which is very important. The other point is that essentially we do not want to bring within the scientific discourse, insert in our theology in terms of miracles, because the miracle of Adam is like the miracle of the parting of the sea or the miracle of the virgin birth of Jesus or any of these things. So, of course, scientists would never accept the creation of Adam. They'd never accept the virgin birth. They'd never accept the sea parting and these things, because they would stick to methodological naturalism. Why wouldn't they? That's their main thing. So our main approach is not to challenge the science using science. It is to basically say, well, in the philosophy of science, we understand that science isn't absolutely certain. You have the problem of induction and underdetermination and unconceivable alternatives, all these things. So after all of that, then what we would do is we would do epistemic weighing, that the reason why we believe in the miracle of Adam is because we believe in the Quran. But the reason why I go into the problems with Darwinian theory is to show that there's a difference between the public understanding and the academic understanding, right? However, if we accept the Darwinist paradigm, not the Darwinist, the atheist paradigm, that there is no God, then of course human chimp ancestry and all those things, you have no choice. Literally, that's the only game in town. If there is no God, then some naturalistic evolutionary process must have been the only way we came around. Okay, so that's the first point. The other point is, what is our stance on micro evolution, like you mentioned? I mean, we would have no problem with it at all. This is something we can see. This is something even before Darwin that was described. It was described by the ancient people. It was described by the Greeks and the people of the Indus Valley, the Indians, and this stuff is fine. Who cares about it? This is not a bone of contention. What about macro evolutionary processes, right? Huge changes. And again, I think Muslims need to be very careful here. We're talking about hypotheticals, if then, right? I don't really see a problem with it, right? I don't really see a problem, and I'm talking about theologically, right? I don't really see a problem with the idea that this thing evolved into that thing over a long period of time, and you had various species coming out and subspecies and stuff like this. So there's all this stuff which is potential. So as Muslims, we shouldn't discard something as, okay, that's very that's impossible, that's this, that's that. But yeah, that's the way I would do it, that we're open from that perspective. In the same way, we are open we would have been open, say 70-80 years ago, to the idea of the steady state model, that the universe is eternal, even though that conflicts with the Quran. But we would say that, look, we'll accept it as a valid theory, but we won't accept it to be literally true, right? The other thing that you asked, what was the last part of your question? Because you asked something very interesting.
That, well, honestly, I'm forgetting. I think I said some. I referred to the possibility of, or not the possibility, like me personally not knowing whether Adam alayhi salam gave birth to different types of races. Is that what you're trying to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. Well, the thing is, look, when it comes to these things, we need to be super careful, right? Allah says, "Do not talk about what you don't know." So, and Allah also says He creates that which you don't know. So the thing is, as a funny way of remembering this, right? I think of the question: was Homo erectus Hanafi? Right? It's a really stupid question. It's a really stupid question when you think about it. Yeah, I made a video on this a few months back, and it's quite funny because people like that concept. Now, if somebody says, "Look, I really want to know if Homo erectus is Hanafi," the answer to that is, well, it's a totally nonsensical question, and it bears nothing upon Islamic theology and the truthfulness of Islam and this type of thing. So Adam alayhi salam, the progeny, and all of those types of things that we don't actually know, we cannot give a definitive answer in any way, right? And there are people who speculate, and it's quite dangerous, I would say, to speculate on these types of topics. The safest thing is to simply say, because sometimes these questions aren't raised by Muslims, they're actually raised by non-Muslims, and therefore it comes through. But we can simply say, I don't know. And I'll give you an example of something that happened in Speaker's Corner, say 2 weeks back. There were certain questions, and in Islam, we know why Islam is true. We know why Islam, we can give an argument for why Islam is true, and there's certain, we know that everything in Sharia, everything in Islam, every moral in Islam, it has a wisdom behind it, but we don't always have access to that wisdom. So in the park, when some people are asking me these questions, some of these questions don't have a wisdom that we have access to. They have a wisdom, but not a wisdom we have access to. So I said, I don't know. And some people in the comment section were like, well, how can you say you don't know? The thing is, sometimes that is the most powerful answer. You say, I don't know, but then you follow it up with, but this makes no difference to the truthfulness of Islam, right? So you're going to get questions like this, Mahad. You're going to get questions like, okay, but did Adam alayhi salam, did they exist at the same time as those other hominids? And did they learn culture from them, or did they have language? And is this what it refers to in the Quran when it has this verse in Surah Baqarah and all this? And all of this stuff, you should always bring it back to, does any of this disprove the truthfulness of Islam? And that's it. And if something is threatening to disprove the truthfulness of Islam or to undermine its teachings, then you should entertain it. Otherwise, I would say it's like having a discussion about, were there 5 young men and 1 dog, or 6 young men and 1 dog, and the whole story of the cave. Like, that's the way I would give the paradigm.
Barakallahu feek, thank you so much. Also, if you could you, I don't know where Brother Hijab went, could you?
He's just coming back. He's going off somewhere. He just walked out the office. He just.
I just wanted to get a message to him.
Yeah, sure. This is a brother from New York. Sorry. He wants to give you a message.
How you doing, brother? All right, Mohad, how you doing?
Mahad.
I'm all right. How about you?
Mahad. Mahad. Okay.
Yes, brother. I just want to say, I just wanted to get a message to you. I recently, I'm 22 now. Just I'd say a year and a half ago, I started practicing like fully, taking Islam seriously. And I just wanted to say, you and all the the whole Speakers Corners gang really influenced my whole journey back to Islam, because I watched you guys' Speakers Corners videos. And I just
please,
saw.
Please tell the truth. It was just me. Those were just. I want to get.
So yeah, I just want to say, Allah bless you all. Like, you guys really influenced me, and I know I'm not the only one. You guys have done such a good job over at the UK, doing Dawah and helping many of us youngsters who are looking to come back to Islam. and you guys have influenced us in the best possible way to sort of start
it's beautiful listening to that, and I really appreciate it. Honestly, I always appreciate comments like that, because to know that what we do actually makes a difference on the ground, with it working in the kind of field that we're working in, bro, it's you need a lot of thick skin. And sometimes if we were pure people, or if I was a pure person, maybe I wouldn't require some people like you to come and say the things that you're saying now to keep motivated. But unfortunately, of the sins I've accumulated, sometimes it can actually help one move forward. And I thank you for what you've said. Honestly, it does make a difference.
Honestly, me amongst many of the brothers here where I live and around my university, like we talk about you guys on a regular. We're like, oh, did you see Mohammed Ajaf? He's going on the podcast with Jordan Peterson. Did you see this? Did you see that? We talk about you guys regularly. Like you guys doing such good work, and it's like the effect of it is reaching like global, right? Over us here in America, it's we're being, you guys are helping us, and I know millions of other Muslims across the world. So
last time I went to New York, it was against in the David Wood debate, and it was an amazing time, bro. The people were there, and, like the vibe was something else. I have to say it was. Ali Dawah went with me as well. It was the whole trip from beginning to end was something else, man. I have to say.
And we would love to have you in New York again. Like I said to Brother Sabur, I go to the University of Albany. I'm one of the board members at the Muslim Student Association at UAlbany. We would love to, host you again for, whatever, a conference or a panel, whatever.
We don't deny, and we don't usually reject, invitations. We try our best to honor everybody, in terms of invitations. So no doubt, send it through to the team, and we have to go. We get these requests in the beginning of the year, and we filter them, and the CEO Hamza Sources, he sorts out what can be done, what should be done, what fits the strategic objectives, and if it does, and hopefully it will, then I'd be my pleasure to come back to New York City.
Definitely.
One final thing before I go off, because I know other people want to come into. I'm not sure if Sheikh Yasser Qadi, I think he's in the UK. I don't know if he's still there, but I know he was visiting. I just want to say, I just want to say I would have loved to have you bring him on to the podcast, or you guys to do another public podcasting or something.
I'm into enough trouble, brother.
I know that's what I was gonna like bring that up, because like I know maybe to sort of like patch up, to build the bridges again.
No. Look, there's no requirement for that in terms of the Muslim brothers and in the Dawah, who are active and who might have had an issue with in the past. You sometimes I just learn to forgive and forget and move on. And honestly, because this is the ego is a very potent and unfortunately corrosive thing, and a lot of our actions are based on our ego. And when you look back, you feel like it's not worth it. So with a lot of the brothers in the Dawah that you've had issues with in the past, they're Muslims, and we try our best to forgive them and move on.
Right. Yeah. And I
Yasser Qadi, have no issue in my heart for him at all. In fact, quite to the contrary.
Yeah, exactly. Because I love you both. For the sake of Allah, I've learned so much from both of you. And I've seen, I think, pretty much every single podcast episode that you've had. You've brought him on every single conversation. I think I've pretty much seen all of them. And I would have loved to, in the future, sometime to have you both, together in front of the public, and so you could sit down and have some kind of conversation. And on that, just one more thing, Brother Sabur, Pakistan's gonna win the World Cup, inshallah. Pakistan's gonna win the World Cup. You know it.
Sorry, I don't like cricket.
What are you talking about, bro?
Cricket.
Cricket.
Pakistan, the last time it was in the World Cup was probably before the formation of the country itself.
He's talking about football.
Last time they won was in '92, and I mean, honestly, I used to be into cricket back when I was younger, when I lived there, because I was born there. But now it's like the hype is up again because they're doing really good. But I just want to say, whoever's watching, Pakistan's gonna win, inshallah. All right, with that, I'll leave you guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Assalamu.
Okay. Okay, let me go to the thing. We've guys, you're gonna have to switch your camera on. David Williamson, welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Just want to say, like, thank you so much for some of the work that y'all do. Y'all made a lot of
Wait,
difference
you,
in my
you
life.
sound very young. How old are you?
I'm 17.
MashaAllah, man. 17. I remember I was 17.
Me too. I remember that.
Yeah,
20 years
I've been Muslim for
Connect.
I've been Muslim about 10 months.
MashaAllah,
How
MashaAllah.
did you become Muslim?
It's kind of a long story. I was sort of looking for like meaning in my life. And in my like 8th grade class, we read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I was like really blown away. And then like I sort of started researching Islam. It was kind of a long process, but eventually like I sort of realized it was the truth, and I had to accept it. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, man. That's beautiful, man.
Beautiful to hear. 17. May Allah preserve you, man.
Thank you, Akhi.
It's you know, a lot of young people come to Islam. A lot of young people.
Yeah, it's the internet age, bro. Like a lot of stuff is online now. So, have you got a good community there? Where you stay? Where are you? What area are you in?
I'm in Washington, in the U.S.
You got people down there, yeah, that can hook you up and you can do prayer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you need anything from us, please let us know, man. You know, if we can. I know some people in Washington. So if you need anything, you just let me know. Yeah.
Yeah. How can I contact you?
Just try through Instagram. If not, then email. Just try your luck and try your best. If not, then obviously through the Sapiens as well.
What's this for?
If you need any kind of help, because we've like
So-
support.
In my email is because I can always chase him up here.
Yep.
DarwinianDelusions@gmail.com. You can find it on each one of my YouTube clips, even this clip, right? So DarwinianDelusions@gmail.com. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
But it's very important, like Hijab said, you have a nice community around you. And also you take things, you know, one step at a time. You know, sometimes when you become a new Muslim, you become like you become Superman. You know, you just want to go full in.
And you know the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in the hadith, "Inna ad-dina yusr wa la yashad wa lan yashad ad-din ahadun illa ghalabahu." That the religion is ease, and no one overburdens himself with the religion except that it defeats him. So, you know, that's a great advice, Sabur. I think that what people need to do is obviously the fara'id, the 5 pillars, prayers. You know, you have to get the prayers on point and on time. Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. That the prayers were upon the believers on prescribed times, and that when you're praying, that you are khasha', which means that you are actually concentrating on what you are saying and thinking about the words of Surah Al-Fatiha and stuff like that, and just focus on that and getting away from any of the major sins which may occupy your time. This is very important, bro. Like the Quran states, الَّذِينَ يَجْتَنِبُونَ كَبَائِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَالْفَوَاحِشَ إِلَّا اللَّمَمْ. The ones who abstain from the major sins, except for the minor sins, because everyone falls into the minor sins. And so be aware of what the major sins are, which ones they are, you know. And there are lots of you can check that online, the major sins, you know, the prayers. And then after that, then it's ilm. Then you start, you know, and then you start learning the religion of Islam. And where you start with it is the Quran, because خَيْرُكُم مِّن تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best of you, the Prophet ﷺ said, is the ones who learn the Quran and teaches it. And the Quran states, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. That we have made the Quran easy for remembrance. So who's going to come and remember it? So where you go through the Quran, you try and memorize as much as you can of it. Have a program, you know. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the best deeds are those أدومه وإن قل, the most consistent ones, even if it's small. And so you have to have a consistent program. If you have a diary, there's 168 hours in the week. You know, make sure you're not consuming your time doing nonsense stuff, activities. You know, you're a young man. It's the time for you to mold yourself right now. If you can think yourself as like some sticky mud, this is the time where you can mold yourself so that when you get a little bit older, it's going to start drying up, and the molding process is going to be doubly as hard. So use your time wisely, schedule your time, have a plan. If you fail to plan to fail, and concentrate on the prayers, because inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. That prayer itself, it prevents from the major sins, the fahsha and the munkar.
Appreciate it.
My advice.
Giving me so much wisdom. I haven't asked my question yet.
Oh, you got a question? Go ahead, please.
They had a question about Makkah and go on.
Yeah, go.
Actually, I think I have a more important question. Actually, I just thought of, but I was just kind of like, just because like I'm in high school, I'm just kind of curious about how I can like sort of present Islam, just because there's not like, I don't know if there's like really there's not a lot of Muslim people at my school, and like I'm surrounded by a lot of stuff where it's like a lot of temptation, like.
Can you pray in the prayer room do they know that you're Muslim, or you can't pray, or what's the situation with that?
No, I can pray. Like our campus is pretty big, and so I usually just
pray on time. Can you pray on time?
Yeah, I can.
Brilliant.
Actually, I recently talked to my football coach, and he was cool with me leaving practice sometimes. American football. So
be careful with American football, man, because this is another advice. People, they do American football, but sometimes you can only do it for 1 year, and you start getting mad brain damage, CTE, and you have to look into that, because we were talking about irreversible damage, bro. American football.
This is my last year.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, fair enough. But I'm just saying, be careful, because it can sometimes not really be worth it. It can destroy your life, bro. That thing, that sport.
Mm-hmm.
So beware of that. But yeah, so long as the main thing is to focus on your prayers. Another thing is, is to have a good friendship group. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us, al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi, that the person is on the religion of his friend. So, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. You also had another question about Adam alayhi salam in Africa. Do you know ask that one?
Yeah. So in my African history class, we were learning about the early history of Africa, and they talked about sort of the out of Africa theory and that the evolution stuff. I was just kind of curious, because I know that and maybe it's in the hadith, or maybe I'm misunderstood, but it talks about Adam going to Mecca and building the Kaaba there, and then initially, and then I'm just kind of curious about where the first generations I guess lived, and how that can sort of be understood.
We know that Adam, some scholars say that he was black, because the word Adam comes from Adam, which literally means black. So Allah Alam, there are some continuities there, but I don't know.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, the simple answer about this is the out of Africa theory assumes that the earliest humans came out of Africa and then spread to Europe and Asia and whatnot. But from the Islamic paradigm, one of the things that could be possible is that those were earlier people that we wouldn't consider human, but scientists would say they're the human, but we would say maybe hominids or whatever. And then the human, the Adamic line, that miracle and that lineage, that happened in another part of the world. And this was a group of people that lived before, Homo erectus and Homo naledi and Denisovans and all those types of people. So that's possible. There isn't anything hard to undermine Islam here. There's lots of possibilities.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping also just on my other question, I was hoping I get a little clarity, sort of with because obviously there's people around me, as in my friend groups that I've known for a long time and I really care about. I'm just kind of curious about how I can tell them about Islam better,
Yeah. So you've got my email address, right? Darwinian Delusion. In fact, I'm going to put it in the chat for you, David. And let's continue this conversation here, because there's a lot to say about that, actually.
Okay.
I mean, the main thing for now is, you just give a good image. But in terms of how to give dawah, that also depends on, your knowledge on certain things. So darwiniandelusions@gmail.com. I just put it in the private chat. Drop me an email and take it from there, inshallah. But it's really nice, really nice speaking to you.
Yeah. I
Like young man.
yeah, of course. I really appreciate speaking to you. I've been trying to get on these live streams for a little bit, but like the timing, because I'm in the US, like timing is a little inconvenient. And it's just really nice that I was able to do this one.
No worries.
But yeah, I would say in general, like my classmates, they've gotten a little bit better image of this. Like I've been trying to I try to be like as best as I possibly can, like I try to be kind to them and everything, not like backbite or anything, and separate myself, like make clear distinctions. Like people will be like, hey, you want to like go out or something, and I'll be like, no, I'm Muslim, I can't do that. And so just sort of like stuff like that,
Right.
But I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
God bless you, man. Very nice to speak to you.
Nothing.
Nice, brother. Well, when you hear someone 17, how old do you feel?
Well, not that much older, to be honest.
No, you are. You are older. You're an uncle, bro. You're an uncle. You're an old man.
Well, 17, I wouldn't want to go back to that age, to be honest.
Yeah, it's too crazy, isn't it?
You've done it. It's like that chapter is finished.
Yeah, you don't want to go back to that craziness.
I actually feel like a 50-year-old, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like a 50-year-old.
Remember we had the conversation a few years ago, and I started saying this to you, and then we were in that chicken shop in the basement, and I was talking to you about I feel really old, and he said, no, you've just it's all in your head or something, and now you're talking like that.
No, bro. I was walking in Edger Road, and I was thinking, man, I'm 50, man, I'm 51. I was thinking like I feel much older than I am. I don't know why.
Yeah. There's this funny thing in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that he makes this joke when he says, they have the live audience reaction and stuff. So Will Smith goes something like, oh, like people something about old people like when they're 30. And I still remember that because I was watching that when I was a teenager. And as a teenager, you actually think, 30 is really old.
No way.
Yeah, you do, isn't it? 30 is really old. When you hit 30, they're like, oh, no, actually, it's not that old.
Yeah. I feel like 50, bro.
That's the least of your problems.
Well, I feel like I'm 50, man. I feel old, man.
All right.
Like I've lived a full life.
Bro, should I go brutal on the questions now? Should I just go brutal? Some questions which are not relevant. Question about motivation. Sorry, no, forget that. Sorry, I'm going to be really brutal today because there's lots of people who want to ask questions. Saying about learning Arabic. No, thank you. Brothers, man, please. Just ask questions about truthfulness of Islam and all this type of stuff.
You look rough, man. Look at you. You look like you're terminate some war, bro.
I'm trying to read. That's why. When I read, I start squinting.
Maybe you need glasses.
Nah. I don't believe in that.
Yeah, you don't believe in that.
I'm joking. No, I'm joking. My question is, how did the brothers? The questions are not that good today, man.
Let's get the guys on the thing, man. Let's get the people that got their cameras out and everything.
Yeah, but there's loads.
They should be given priority, man.
No, they all. Do you know what's happened on the other stream? So now the rule is everybody has to have their camera on. So they all have their cameras on.
Why on screen? The stream.
I'll tell you later.
Okay,
Hamza. Who's Hamza? Let's find Hamza. There's a Hamza here.
Look, he's waving his hand, bro. Look.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that guy, bro. He's got a sick hairstyle. Look at that. Walaikum salam. Just before you speak, Mike Chapman, our own Mike Chapman from Speaker's Corner. I can see you in the chat, but I can't enter you in because the studio's full. But as soon as someone leaves, then I'll get you on, inshallah. Mike Chapman from Speaker's Corner. So yes, Hamza, how are you doing, bro? I love your hairstyle.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, brother. I actually changed it, because I used to have like a part like this, but then I'm like, my hair's too big. But
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Canada.
Sorry to hear that. Okay. I don't know why. I don't like Canada. I didn't like Canada. I didn't like it.
I was gonna ask you guys to come to Canada. I go to Western University. I was like, you guys can come and do a seminar or something because I'm on the MSA.
I'm sorry. I don't like a country where you're just cold all the time. I don't like. It was so cold. We were there in November, and honestly, you just think to yourself, why would anyone live here? Maybe I need to go there in the summer. Isn't it
Yeah.
brutally cold? It's just horrible, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Right now, I went for a walk. Right now, it was very cold. Don't. Yeah, like, my hands are freezing. So, it's not the best. But So yeah, my question was about feminism. So, which is one of you guys, like one of the how do I say, specialties of you guys, Dawah. So I want to ask about. So some of my friends, right? They there are like feminists, and they use the word, like the label feminist. When I say, look, like you can be for human rights without saying you're a feminist, right? But then they give me the argument that you have like Me Too movements, and especially in Pakistan and all of the the cases that go on there. So feminism is something that you need to have, right? And when they give me these points about like sexual harassment and these sorts of things, I don't get like pigeonholed or anything, but I'm like, it's a very sensitive topic. So it's like, how do you talk about critiquing feminism while also supporting women's rights and all of these things? Because it seems like
I think you've answered the whole question. You do exactly that. You critique feminism. You promote women's rights. That is the answer. But the women's rights according to the Islamic paradigm, and so we need to show them why our paradigm is better than theirs. And it's pretty easy to show how nowadays. It's the feminist paradigm, especially second wave type paradigm, where there's a big focus on deconstructing or the nuclear home, if you want, or attacking the institution of marriage, attacking domesticity, and the list goes on. It has shown to produce the least stable types of families, the worst kind of outcome for children, the worst kind of behaviors that can actually lead to pathology and all kinds of neurotic behaviors. And also, I was just speaking to Professor Wolfinger actually recently, who's a demographic specialist, and he was saying something very, very interesting. He was saying the more a family is conservative, he said, but also religiously practicing, the more likely it's stable, and the more likely children will come from they'll have a good outcome, and less likely they'll be in prison, more likely they'll be educated, more likely that they'll be in a better position. What kind of societies do we want? Do we want societies where there's less crime, there's more cohesion, there's more stability, psychological stability, or do we want societies which are fragmented and people are at each other's necks and there's a competitive environment? If it's the former, which I think most people would agree is, then surely a robust, stable family scenario where there's the hierarchy is being preserved in the family and children are being prioritized is better than all what the feminists have to offer. And I think that's what we're talking about. And I think people can appreciate this from all angles and from all places. So feminism is, I think it's just outdated now, and that's a lot of women are, especially in the West, are moving away from it. Maybe 85%. I looked at some studies, some recently, in Germany and in the UK, and don't even identify with feminism. The vast majority of women no longer identify with feminism. So if they want to, it's ironic because if the vast majority don't identify with feminism, then it's as if they are voting against feminism as a medium to ensure them their own rights. And if women are going to be the arbitrators for their own decisions and life choices, then that's evidence against feminism in and of itself. So why should we have a feminist, colonial feminist narrative imposed upon us when in fact not even women in the West want that? So let alone women in other places. We need to call it out for what it is, which is an imperial colonialist privileged discourse that entitles women in certain places, sometimes usually at the expense of children. That's what feminism is. It's women being entitled usually at the expense of children, whether it's through abortion, whether it's through families that are breaking down, whether it's through single parent household, which it creates, and then children have a worse outcome. whether it's through the fact that, and this is something else that Professor Wolfinger was mentioning, quite interesting, even if there's a divorce that happens, the conflict that happens between father and mother is a great predictor for destability and a hard life for a child. And that is more likely to happen if you're armed with feministic narratives because you think everything is oppressive, or not everything, but those patriarchal structures are oppressive. So, in other words, feminism, and because when it does emphasize domestic violence, it does so almost always emphasizing the woman being assaulted and attacked, which of course does happen, but almost always trivializing children going through the same situation. And by the way, what's most ironic is that when a woman is violent to a child, she is building a situation where that child is more likely psychologically to be violent to a woman. So it's a frisbee situation.
Whoa.
Yeah. So a woman
I had no idea about
and according to stats, because of the interaction time, like the NSPCC is quite clear about this. Many women, sometimes most children are abused by women as members of their families, more so than fathers and so on, mothers and other women in their families. So if we talk about domestic violence, we make it all about women. But I'm not saying let's make it about men. I'm saying we are forgetting about the children in all this. And yeah, fair enough, there are efforts to try and protect children's rights. But when we talk about domestic violence in the context of feminism, I've seen the literature and it does not prioritize that at all. And children are the most vulnerable. They get hurt. I've seen videos, I'm not sure if you have, but of babies being smashed, literally. You know, Oriental countries, this in the West, and babies there's true crime videos you can watch of women killing their children because they feel like they have that entitlement. I brought them into existence. Some women, obviously, not all, and these are like pathological women, but I brought them into existence. I'll take them out. But these things are usually swept under the carpet. Once again, feminists are telling us, some feminists, not all of them, of course, but some of them are saying abortion after 5-6 months, where the baby is a fully fledged child. You're allowing a child come on, man, to be killed that could be in an incubator and live by that's what some of them are campaigning for. So feminism, this is the problem with feminism. It raises women's entitlement sometimes, not always, but it can raise a woman's entitlement so much that it can forego the children's rights fully.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the time, it's like I ask, a friend, look, like, are you a first wave feminist, second wave feminist, third wave feminist? And they say, I don't know, I just support feminism, right? So it's like, is this also a point where I can be like, look, you don't even understand the ideology that you're professing to, support? So I mean, what I don't understand is like in third wave feminism, you have that thing where it's you're a woman, but you can talk about yourself in other categories as well, right? So if someone
and that's exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I've watched your London
and if it destroys them.
Sorry?
Yes, we filmed it today as well. That's what we do, the London Air, before we do the live, and so we do it in English and we do it.
Okay, mashallah, that's good. Yeah, okay. I think I think that was all I wanted to ask. But other than that, like barakallahu feek, jazakallah for all your work. I've been listening to you since I've been listening to you guys since the last summer. That's when I started, I was like listening. I was like, inshallah, like, bro, there's so much stuff I don't know about Islam, right? I'm even taking an Islamic ethics class right now as well. So, it's thank you for helping, bring me closer to Deen and whatnot. I thank Allah, but jazakallah khair, and
Jazakallah khair, brother Hamza.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Oops, sorry. Supposed to add.
What did you do, bro?
No, I was supposed to add this brother.
Bro, he said,
Assalamu
alaikum so quickly. Did you see that? And you cut him off.
Bless the brother, man. He just said hello and he got cut clean.
This is
How you both doing?
Calling everything. I have not a word to. Absolutely.
Diamond hands. So what's going on, Mike?
Yeah, man, you're right. I thought I'd chase you down. You weren't at the park last week, so I thought it's an opportunity to catch up with you.
That's right. Yeah, I'm trying to add on the chat. Sorry, trying to add on the chat people over 18 because I don't want. I'll explain to you why. But anyway,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
fine.
So that's one of the reasons.
Well, your brother might be 20 for you know. Okay, fine.
What are you talking about, Mike? Do you know what?
Yo.
Missed you, man. I need to come back to the park.
Yeah, man. Of course, parks. A different place with that. All the brothers there.
Yeah.
They get the gin start coming out and taking over the park when you guys ain't there to refute them.
Yeah.
But you know what I want to talk about. I mean, I'm not going to raise the subject, but you know what I want to talk about. I'm going to be chasing you about that. We have missed a huge,
but you know what?
Huge opportunity.
Do you know what? I don't know. Should I?
Well,
it is a good topic, but the problem is, you can't open up the can of worms, and you can't put you can't go back in. So I think we need a separate episode for that. So let's talk about something else instead.
No, I actually had about 4 questions. These brothers have been coming on, hitting the questions in, man. It's like, wow, it's like knocking off my little list of questions here.
No, say that again. Can you say that again?
Sorry, one sec. The screen went all down for some reason. I was saying, I literally had about 4 questions. Am I good now?
Yep.
Am I good? Yeah.
Yep.
I had 4 questions, and the brothers have slowly been tipping at them because I wanted to talk about evolution as well. But hijab's returned. Maybe we'll keep that one for another day, maybe in the park or something. The other question I wanted to ask was about Aisha. May Allah be pleased with her.
Yeah.
It's something I posed at the park a couple of times, and not really sure if the way the question is answered satisfies, but at the same time of breath, does it need to satisfy me? But the question I'm having is that how do, I mean, as Muslims in general, in the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, birthdays weren't celebrated, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know how old you are? Legit.
They had the lunar calendar. Okay. How would you know? Say again.
How do you know how old you are if you don't celebrate your birthday? It's not important to you.
No, they had the lunar calendar. They looked at the moon and stuff. They found like the way the moon changes. You can tell, that's why Ramadan. We how do we know Ramadan comes in through the sighting of the new moon? So they knew when the months added up, and so they can add up the months and they add up the years.
But again, if we're not, look, I'm reaching an age now where I actually forget how old I am, and I've celebrated a lot of my birthdays in the past, and I'm literally getting to that age now. I'm just like, am I this age? Am I that age?
Most people don't. I mean, most people know how old they are, man. To be honest, let's be honest about this.
You will always have a rough idea how old you are.
No,
the
man.
reason why I ask
their age,
is
even
because
my children know their age. Even my 5-year-old, then only my 2-year-old doesn't know her age, but she'll need another year. But I think that children know their age.
Okay. Because obviously, yeah, the question that I was going to pose is with Aisha, and I know she states that she was 6 when she was betrothed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and it was 9 when it was consummated.
Yes.
But I was reading something, and it was saying about how her older sister has challenged the concept of her age, and there's like a battle that took place that if Aisha was 6, that she'd be too young to have witnessed this battle in per se, and remember that battle, so to speak. So do we have to take it because she has said it, that there's no other way?
It's a mawquf hadith. It's not a hadith which goes back to the Prophet. And so if someone has some academic reasons for not believing that she was 9, it's not kufri. It's not a disbelieving scenario. Yeah. Because it's qawl al-Sahabi, it's not qawl of the Prophet. However, I mean, if we're being honest about it, it's the strongest evidence that we have that she was 9 when it was consummated and so on, because she's the one who narrated the hadith herself. So that's my position on the matter. And obviously, in terms of like how we argue for that and whatever, we've got videos. I've got a video on that. If you go on YouTube, but my name and my Aisha or something, you'll see like a whole video of me explaining the wisdoms of that and stuff.
You know, there's something about this, Mike, that because that particular thing that you're referring to, I read that many years ago. But
I've been told it's not necessarily the best trustworthy source as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like it, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that.
So, I mean, the question I would ask myself is like, okay, would I be bothered looking up an argument like this 300 years ago or 100 years ago? No, I wouldn't.
No.
The reason why we're looking it up today is because of this pressure to conform with societal norms. Right, norms, especially in the Western context. So, for example, like I heard an Islamic speaker, not going to say his name, but when it came to talking about the Islamic concept of warfare, jihad, and whatnot, you know, he kept referring to just like just war theory, just like just war theory. Then I thought to myself, why do you need to say that? Fair enough, you got just war theory, but what makes just war theory the pinnacle of understanding international relations and how states are supposed to act in a state of anarchy and stuff? So the fact is that, you know, the way this is just the way I thought about it. Yeah. That if a sincere person, because I've met sincere people who've accepted Islam and stuff, they will not really, this will never be a barrier for someone accepting Islam. Wallahi, this will never be a barrier for someone who's sincere accepting Islam. What you will get is those people who have a racket and they'll continuously keep saying, oh, you know, he married her. But the thing is, look, if they really want to go to hell over that issue and they want to use that as a reason not to accept Islam and that's enough for them, then that's fine. Honestly, in all honesty, and alhamdulillah, I've been dealing with reverts for the last 11 years. This is never a reason for someone not to accept Islam if someone's sincere.
Yeah, and also, like, you know, you got to think about when this became, when the question of the historical question of when did it become really like unacceptable, and when did an adult become 16, like, or 60, the age of consent, 16, 18, when did those ages become like popular ages for that kind of thing? And you can trace it to the kind of 20th century, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah, it's very recent. Yeah,
after World War I, you can see it. It's like it's very much a transient type of morality, and it happened. From my historical analysis, it happened off the back of World War I. Actually, when there's a liberal government in the United Kingdom, actually all started in the United Kingdom, and when they put the Marriage Act and they moved it from I think it was 12 to 16 or whatever it was, or 18. The feminists, first wave feminists were very much campaigning for that. India, I think, changed the age of consent before Britain did. And a lot of it was connected to education, because now education had been like, oh, well, you got to finish school before you're known as an adult. And school finished at 16, 14, 16, those kinds of ages. So adult started to be connected with that age, and we're not saying, because it's so much enshrined into our popular cultures now, not just in the UK but almost globally, even in so-called quote-unquote developing countries. We're not saying that 10 and 12 and 13-year-olds should be getting married, by the way, because the structures are not in place for that. Before, in Sparta, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 years ago, the 6-year-olds used to be fighting. And 7-year-olds, the 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds in ancient Athens and Sparta are different to the 6 and 7-year-olds of today, who basically can't even go to the toilet without, you know, assistance or something like that. But that's not something which existed aforetime. So we do really have to think of this as contextual, and there's two things we need to kind of unpack. Is you've got the aspect of what happened, and then you have the aspect of what we should be doing, and they're not the same question, because harm is differentiated. What's haram is to harm anybody, or in marriage, like, and let me tell you something. If I were to get married to a 100-year-old woman, okay, in this country, now it might be legal. As a 30-year-old man, you can, as Mike Champion, Mike Chapman, Mike Champion.
Champion, bro.
Yeah, I've been called a lot of things, never champion.
Mike Champion, because of his championship qualities, Or so imagine you have sorry, I'm really sorry for this, you know. I'm sorry for this example.
You're never sorry, bro.
But imagine if a grown man like me, or like you, or like anybody else, marries, let's not even say 100, let's say a 75-year-old woman, or becomes intimate with her. You know, sorry to say that. Like, sorry to say. No, honestly, because what I'm saying is like, if you
hold it together, Sabor, I'm trying my best. Come on.
if you now, let me ask you a question. If someone like
You
me,
should see the smirk on his face, right?
someone like me or someone like you, Mike Champ, I'll tell you right now, is intimate with a 75-year-old, let's say 80-year-old woman, care home kind of type woman, you know, and you marry her, something, you know, now, and you have intercourse with her a few times, yeah. Now, for someone like Sabor Ahmed, it will cause no harm at all. Now, I'm joking. No.
He's gone.
but you know, for someone like Mike Champ,
Oh dear, it's too
like
late for this, man.
Like a champion. Now, tell me what kind of harm that's going to cause that woman. If she's like, what? She's getting hurt. She's getting this and that. Bro, let's be honest. A 15-year-old girl who's big, like let's say she's got the, you know, she looks like a 25-year-old, yeah, versus a 75-year-old woman, yeah, and both of them have the same sexual experience with, say, a 45-year-old man, big man. Which one of them are going to get hurt more? Like, it's you can get a doctor and let's ask the question, you know, is the 75-year-old woman going to get hurt more? The 15-year-old? I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but I think the people know what, you know. Do you know what I'm trying to say, bro?
Yeah, I hear you.
Islam says this. Islam says, wherever harm is present, don't do it. Maybe some 75-year-old woman, like, I don't know, look like, what's that woman called? J-Lo, yeah? Is she old now? Is she like 65 or something? I don't know, bro. But how old is she? 65, 70? I don't know, bro. But she's normally.
Good guess.
Likewise, there's other, you know, bigger people that are, you know, under the age of 16, you know, but they come on, bro. Like, be a fact, you can get a 16-year-old, 17, 18, 20-year-old who's anemic, who intercourse with them would be very painful. Very painful. In fact, it could kill them. It could kill them. They could, you know, maybe not kill them. I don't know. But
you can have a 25-year-old with the same problem.
You know what I'm trying to say, bro? It's not harm. And so the hadith says, La darar wa la dirar, that there's no harming or reciprocating. And we have a harm principle, but it's no harming and reciprocating harm. So where the harm is present, it's haram to do it. Imagine every time you have intercourse with a woman that you're harming her. That's not allowed. That kind of thing is not allowed. You know, so if you have an intercourse with a 75-year-old, just because the law says it's all right, doesn't mean Islam does. You can have to the law. The law, I can have intercourse with a 75, get married to get intercourse with a 75-year-old woman. No, it's true.
Bro, he just had this expression on his face.
No, but I'm saying the law allows it. But what happens if she dies under my arms or whatever, you know? No, that's
gonna be one awkward wedding night.
Oh dear.
I'm
trying to keep it together, lads. I'm trying.
From the care home to the bloody graveyard.
Oh dear.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, I fully support what you're saying. In essence, what you're saying.
Where the harm is there, they don't. We got to think of things scientifically. And who for one, the question someone might be asking, like, who gets to determine where the harm is? Islamically, doctors do. Go and ask the people of specialism if you don't know. You know, that's it. Now, if I want to marry a 75-year-old, I don't know. I'm bringing myself. If a big man wants to marry, like Michael Champ wants to marry a 75-year-old, that could be disastrous for her health.
No, you know? I've got enough problems in my life. I'm good. Look, I'm going to put it out there. Look, I believe strongly that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, knows what's best for us. tells us the way we should be living our lives. I fully support it, and I back it to the hills. I mean, I think there's something about it that I'm maybe possibly looking at it from the wrong direction, because I happen to believe that, you know, everything that has been done for a reason. And just because I don't appreciate or necessarily understand it fully doesn't mean it's wrong. Just trying to open it up to a conversation. Look, would we do it today? No.
We just talked about right now. Just bring yourself out of that box that says that it's got to be this and that age and this arbitrary and whatever. Bro, just think of it.
To be fair, brother, I'm not in that box. It's a conversation that happens regularly. Yeah. It's one of the biggest jibes that non-believers will take. You know, like Sabor said, if that's the way they want to go, let them go that way.
You know, there's one principle in Islam, which is usuli principle, actually. Yeah, it's an important principle, which is ad-dararu yuzal, that harm is to be averted. That's actually a principle in Islam. Now, the only thing is, if you ask the question about Aisha's age, is it consequentially wrong or is it categorically wrong to have intercourse with Aisha, the Prophet having intercourse with her? If you say it's categorically wrong, then you now have to prove why that's a categorically wrong morality.
Mm-hmm.
If you say it's consequentially wrong, it means it's wrong because of a reason, a consequence. And the consequence they're going to come up with is harm. And we're saying, we also agree that if harm is there, it's wrong as well. So we're saying that we deny the fact that harm was there, because if there was harm there should be some historical evidence that she was harmed. Bro, let me tell you something, Mike Champ, yeah? This is your new name now.
Champ.
Mike Champ. Let me tell you something, Mike Champ. Let me just drink this Dr. Pepper. What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen? That's the last thing. That's the last thing she said.
What, the 75-year-old?
Listen, let me tell you something, brother. Yeah.
Oh dear.
What was I just saying now?
After 12 o'clock, something happens to us.
Okay, look.
Yeah. We need to talk about that.
What am I just saying now?
After Dr. Pepper, you're going to talk about the harm principle thingy.
No, all he had to say was, "What's the worst that can happen?" And then it all went wrong.
It's either categorically wrong or consequentially wrong.
Yes, that's right.
Wrong is because of the harm. It's because of the harm. Oh yes, I was going to say this. Yeah, it's good that I remembered it now. Yeah.
I think having Muhidi here, you're going to behave yourself now.
Joe, let me tell you something.
But you got to hear what he's been talking about, bro.
No, listen.
Sex with a 75-year-old.
No, please.
It wasn't me.
Listen. Let me tell you something right now. So the people watching at home, do you know something? Let me tell you something. Okay, 1 second. Let me drink that thing right now.
Don't do it.
Let me drink that thing right now. Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you something. Okay. And they talk about Aisha. They talk about Aisha, don't they? They say, look, she's meant to be abused. Aisha, the Prophet's wife, Aisha.
No.
Yeah, she was meant to be like being abused. Bro, I thought about this today. I was thinking about this in praying. The thought came to my head. The thought just came to my head, Sabor. Let me tell you what happened, yeah? I thought Aisha is actually a candidate for one of the most influential, if not the most influential woman of all of history.
Yep.
But now, just think about this for a second, yeah? On their worldview and on their paradigm, she was a military leader on their thing.
She was.
Yeah, she did regret it, and she nadamat and all that stuff. But she still was. The fact is that they listened to her as that. That's the fact, that she exerted that much influence. The Hanbali madhab accepts her as like one of the ultimate authorities. Like, you go back to the Salaf, she is one of the faqihas, the top ones. In fact, some say she's number one. Some say she's number one. But listen, all of that, but let me say one thing. She is a candidate on their worldview for one of the most, if not the most influential woman who's ever lived. Yeah? More than any of their women, all of their stateswomen or whatever.
That's so true.
Let me just say something. And she would be in what position if the Prophet didn't marry her? No such position, bruv. So you're talking about a woman who's been raised to the highest ranks according to your worldview of status, and you're speaking about her as if she's abused?
And look,
you're speaking about her as if she's oppressed. All of the Sahaba, bro, all of them, where would they be? The question is, where would they be without the Prophet? Who would they be? Would we know any of them? We wouldn't know a single one of their names. Umar ibn Khattab, Abu Bakr, all of them, Uthman, Ali ibn Abi Talib. We wouldn't know any of their names if it wasn't for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they talk about the wives of the Prophet, yeah, the wives of the Prophet and the Sahaba of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as if there was some porn, some divisive, manipulative game of one man. When in fact he is the one who raised all of this. Without him, they would all be they would not be known in history. They are some of the most influential figures of history because of him, including every single one of his wives, including Aisha. That's a fact. That is a fact. So they speak about her as if she's abused. Bro, she was she exerted some of the most meaningful influence and on their worldview, capitalistic understanding and liberal understanding, on theirs and ours as well, but on theirs. In not just the medieval world, but in all of history, bro. Bro, and you're talking about her as if she's abused. Bro, ask her. I beg you, go and get Aisha and ask her, would you ever take this back? Bro, it's happened in history. When the ayah came down, in kuntunna turidna al-hayata ad-dunya wa zinataha fata'alayn wasarrihkunna umata'kunna wasarrihkunna sarahan jamila. Where Allah, he said to the wives of the Prophet, he said, if you want, because some of them were complaining about the family, the world situation, yeah. If you want the life of this dunya and this zina and this adornment, then come here, and that will set you free, basically, innit? And then he went to all of his wives, and he went to Aisha, and the Prophet, because he loves Aisha, yeah, he goes to her, look, before you make this decision, go and ask your dad, because he knew that her dad was going to give her advice to stay with him, because he loved Aisha, yeah. You know what she said? She goes, well, you know, I don't need it. I'm definitely going to stay with you. But if this was a woman abused, she would never say that. No, abused to run away, say, yeah, I'm going to go to my dad's house, bruv.
Not only this, what would happen if these Islamophobes who say, oh, he married her at the age of 9, they only bring up one narration? Why don't they say everything? The fact that they raced together, the fact that he died in her, you know,
her arms, yeah.
All of this stuff. You know, Sheikh Yusuf Estes, yeah, he had this question when I was at university. This is many years ago. Someone asked him this question, and do you know what he said, bro? He said it was such a beautiful thing, and look how they try and make it ugly. Because if you want to accept, like what these Islamophobes, if they want to accept that thing, okay, it's 9, right? And of course we accept it's 9, right? Then they have to accept everything that happened in her life. Every single time she said, you know, how happy she was that the Prophet made dua for her. Why do they mention that?
Yeah, bro. And furthermore, you want to accept
fit the agenda.
Let's go further than that. Let's go even further than that. You accept that. Oh, okay. So now your historiographical approach is to accept the hadith and the Sahih hadith.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, no problem. You accept the hadith of miracles of the Prophet. You accept the hadith where the water came out of the Prophet's hands. You accept the hadith of what? What? These are the same narrators, bruv. So why do you accept the hadiths when it comes to try and attack the Prophet? But the same hadiths which indicate Aisha was talking about the Prophet when he received revelation and he could hear these things and the camel went down when the revelation happened, like physical things that happen, which is supernatural stuff. So how comes you accept these hadiths when it comes to attacking the honor of the Prophet? But the same narrators and the same history and the same hadiths you don't accept, when undoubtedly if you did accept it, it would indicate he's miraculous. Because you know what? Yeah, because you know what the implications are. But you just want to attack the Prophet, don't you? You just want to say bad things about him, don't you? Trying to get us angry, trying to unnerve us. You're trying to anger. But you know what? Some Muslims are weak and other ones have doubts and suspicion. But they should have doubts and suspicion of their own foundations, bro. Because wallahi, it's true to say that if we have deep foundations in Tawheed and monotheism and these things these things are nothing. These things are absolutely nothing, bro. Do you know, if you really know that this book is from God, you know the morality from it is from God. You know, and we have to get ourselves away from the fact that there's not an inbuilt flexibility in Islam. Islam has an inbuilt flexibility. Like I said, it doesn't mean that every single thing that was practiced by the Prophet needs to be practiced by us. What does it mean that I have to go marry a 9-year-old? No, it doesn't mean that. Because if it meant that, then I'd go marry bloody 9 women at one time, or I'd marry like this one and that one and this one. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? And the way he went.
Yeah, I don't know. He dropped off. He'll be back,
bro. You know, let's be real about the situation. You know.
And you know, there's something else I was thinking about with the people who want to take a something that happened in history, which was practiced all over the world, right? And what they want to do is they want to try and demonize one man. Then they have to demonize everybody, including their own ancestors, and they have to basically acknowledge.
And they probably would do that just so they can demonize the prophet.
If they really believe that this is a valid argument, then they are questioning their own existence, because they wouldn't be alive. I'm sure in every person alive today, their ancestors going back, the age wasn't 18 always.
Of course, come on, man.
Exactly,
joking,
exactly. So you can only make this argument, because that happened, you idiot.
Absolutely, bro. And you know, it's not just that, but it's like, come on, look at the age of consent 100 years ago. In most states, it was like 11, 10, 9. Delaware was 7, bro. But these guys need to really, they need to look at morality in a different way.
Absolutely.
They need to look at morality in a different
way. All
way.
right, champion.
Sorry about that.
Yep, you're back.
Just cut me out.
No. You dropped.
I don't usually drink drinks like this, you know, but today I feel a bit tired.
You don't have to justify. You don't have to justify yourself, bro. You don't have to justify.
I'm gonna drink it, bro. What?
Mike Chapman, come back, bro. All righty. Let me just see who else is in the chat. Guys, please switch on your camera. If your camera's not on, you ain't coming on, bros. All right, let's see this. Oh, come on, brothers, man. The questions need to be better than this. You've got good questions. Moyad, you have a question about Mirage. What is that? Are you over 18? You look very young. Let me see you put that in the chat. No, I think you're very young. You look young. 15. Nope, only over 18, my brother. I'm gonna have to take you out of the studio. Sorry. Okay. Alim, please switch on your camera. Darwinian Illusion, switch on your camera. Hafiz, what's your question again? Please post your question. Dude person, post your question. Live and Learn, post your question. Nope, you have to switch it on. Live and Learn. There you are, my brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu
alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. No, walaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam. Yes.
Walaikum salam. Oh, okay.
Are you you're not Muslim?
No, I want to learn though, because I want to read the Arabic, and I want to read the Quran in Arabic.
Yeah, very good Arabic for someone who's not Muslim. MashaAllah, that's good, man. Very good. What's your background then?
My parents are Sri Lankan, Hindu background.
Hindu background, okay. In Sri Lanka, you have a lot of Muslims there as well, right?
I'm pretty sure they're everywhere, right? Muslims everywhere.
Yeah, in Sri Lanka in particular, there's Muslims there as well. So yeah, what's your question and welcome. Well, what time is it? Are you in Colombo by any chance?
No, I'm in Canada, Toronto, born and raised.
Oh, you're Canadian. Okay, I thought you were actually in Sri Lanka at the moment. No. Okay, so what's your question?
My question is what is the correlation between the Quran and the Bible? And the reason I'm asking that is because I'm reading the Quran right now, and I hear so much about Jesus, son of Mary. They talk about Isaac and Jacob and all this stuff, and how the scripture has been proved. But I see a huge correlation, because I read the whole Bible, like I read it front to back, and then I read the Quran. But I see a huge, humongous correlation. They're intertwined almost. But
So yeah, I mean, what it is that we as Muslims, we believe in all of the prophets. We believe in Moses and Jesus and Abraham and Noah, peace be upon them all. We believe in all of the prophets. So the stories that you get in the Quran are, of course, the stories of the prophets, and the stories in the Old and New Testament are also the stories of the prophets, and you get correlation. However, there are some clear distinctions you get as well. So, for example, there's a lot more detail about the prophets, right, that you would get in some books of the Bible, but that information is not credible. So, for example, you get information about, some of the prophets doing things which are very unprofitly, so getting drunk and also all sorts of things, and you'll never find that in the Quran. You'll never find the prophets doing something immoral. So we believe that those things were inserted into the Bible. We don't believe that those things were actually the true teachings of the prophets, right? Also, when it comes to the story of in particular Jesus, right? So we would say that he is not God, and he never claimed to be God, right?
yeah, that's true.
And of course, Christians, the way they would read it, they would say, no, he claimed to be God and stuff like this. And the difference is how things were put together, because the Quran is the actual revelation given to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and we have a direct chain of transmissions to us today. So what we have today, you go to Japan, you go to UK, you go to wherever, we all believe in the same Quran, and it all goes back to the Prophet. The Bible is put together over a long period of time, many different authors, and we can't say it's revelation from God. We can't actually say that this is the literal word of God. We can say, we have remnants of the teachings of the prophets, and then over time people were putting stuff together, so you have interpretations and you have additions, you have all these types of things. So we wouldn't say, okay, that Bible, that is the word of God, right? People walking around with that's the word of God. So what is your belief about God? What do you actually believe?
Me, when I read the Quran, even when I was reading the Bible, I believed in the same thing. Even before I was reading the Bible, I believed there was like one entity of certain, like, overseeing everything. It doesn't matter what you create under it, it goes to one kind of thing. So when I was reading the Bible, I was like, yeah, this makes sense up until the New Testament, and then Jesus came along, and that's where everything kind of fell apart. When I was like kind of reading, and then I was like, he's warning you, saying, follow they sing, pray to one God. They taught Abraham, Noah, everybody. They were teaching everybody, pray to one God. And then when Jesus came along, all of a sudden they're committing idolatry. They're praying to a human. They're praying to a wooden cross.
Yeah.
That they erected, humanly created. And
so what's your name?
Me?
What's your name? Yeah.
Raj.
Raj.
Yeah.
Raj, that's a very insightful thought, because it makes no sense that you have Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, all of these prophets saying,
and Jesus,
there's one God, worship God alone. There's one God, worship God alone, telling people to be righteous. And then one man comes, according to the Christians, Jesus, and claims to be God. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't add up. So Islam, we would accept Jesus as a great messenger of God. We would accept him as a Messiah. We would accept those things, but not the Son of God, not divine in any way, shape, or form. So in terms of yourself, like, you have a belief in God. You believe in God. Do you believe in revelation as well? That God sends revelation?
Yeah, I believe in definitely an end time prayer. It's clear. Everybody dies. I mean, it's as clear as that. I mean, yeah, everybody.
Have you looked into why we believe the Quran is the word of God?
I tried to understand that. I haven't come to complete understanding of why it's the the true message, but it is very clear. Everything I read in it, it is clear. It's
Okay.
like we will come to an end, we will die, and I mean that in itself is clear.
Yeah. Definitely, the Quran makes that abundantly clear. Now the thing is, any book from God cannot say about God something which is very ungodly. So if there's a book that was from God, but it described God in a very human way, in a way that God is like an animal, or inside his creation, or limited, or powerless, and all these types of things, they wouldn't fit God. So the thing about Islam is, Islam has a description of God which makes total sense to us, because it's a perfect description. There's one God who's transcendent, who's beyond our imagination, and the only one that we worship. We don't worship God through the Son. We don't believe God has a son. We don't worship God through saints. We don't pray to the dead. We don't do any of those things. We don't believe in lucky charms. We don't believe in stars. We don't believe in any of those things. We believe in God directly. So the most powerful thing about Islam is it's so clear and direct that anybody anywhere else in the world can say, okay, that makes sense. One God and directly to God alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's our first reason why we would say that the Quran is the truth, because it's perfectly in line with what deep down inside. And when you rationally think about it as well, what is God and what is your relationship with God? And the Quran fits that. Right? It makes total sense. And then we would go into various different things. We would go into, say, the linguistic miracle of the Quran. We would go into the sociological impact of the Quran. We would go into the preservation miracle of the Quran. We would go into the predictions in the Quran. We would go look into the predictions of what the Prophet, peace be upon him, said about what's going to happen in the end times, right? And all these types of things. But ultimately, all of this is going to lead to the conclusion that Islam is the truth. And it's not just an abstract thing, right? If it's the truth, then what we as Muslims say is that you should accept the truth. If you realize something is true, then you should accept the truth, right? So what I recommend you do is that I put my email address in the chat, but I'll put my email address again, is that you look into why Islam is true. And if you're convinced, then you should accept Islam, because as Raj, you said yourself, life is short, you pass away, and God exists. So if God has given you this chance to come on this live stream and talk, and even this is a sign for you, it's something to think about.
Yeah, thank you so much even for letting me. Honestly, the reason why I bought that Quran, I was watching a Speaker's Corner. I saw Muhammad versus David Wood. Oh my god, yeah, that was the best thing I've ever saw, like, for real.
Wow, that's a fantastic categorization of the debate. I mean, I'm checking it. Yeah. No, but I wanted to leave it just to Sabor to tell you what he said, and I think that just be sincere as possible, bro, man. Just supplicate to God, because sometimes we intellectualize it too much. Just look, there's an instinct, I'm sure you already have, that God exists. Ask him to guide you and see what happens.
Absolutely. Do you know how to accept Islam? Like do you know what the process is?
Of process of
Yeah, so if you were to accept Islam, right, how you become Muslim is quite simple. You testify that there's none worthy of worship except God, except Allah, and you testify that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is God's final messenger. Like, that is enough for you. Like, you saying that statement, that's enough for you to accept Islam. So it's not like you're going to have to do an entry test and you're going to be baptized or something, you have to go to a ceremony. Like, literally, you just accept the fact that there's none worthy of worship except God, and the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. Like, that's enough for someone to become Muslim. And of course, everything, you do one thing at a time and you gain more knowledge and stuff like this. But you sound like you've definitely got your trajectory in the right place. You're headed towards that. sort of conclusion, and you're looking into the Quran.
Yeah, definitely. I just buy this one.
Yes, that's a very good translation. That's
I'm on
Abdul
Surah.
Karim.
I'm on Surah 40.
Wow,
Yeah.
you've read up to Surah 40.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. So how long you been researching Islam?
Maybe about a couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years.
Now, man, you need to become Muslim, bro. What's going on? What's going on?
It's the Western culture. I've grown up and raised in Canada, and some things,
What's stopping you from accepting Islam, bro? Let's straight. Let's get
Yeah,
straight.
man. Let's get straight.
Yeah.
Years he's been looking, man. Our brother Raj has been looking for years.
So tell me, what's stopping you from accepting Islam today?
Just certain things. Like one thing is I drink a lot. I sometimes smoke.
Yeah, but that's something that if you become Muslim, if you do those things, it's a sin. It doesn't take you out of Islam. There are things which are way worse than that. Not to say that that's not bad, but it's bad. But things much worse than that. What else is stopping you then, apart from that?
It's just being proud to say it. Like I don't want to go out and say like I'm Islam if I'm doing that. It's like I always believe the same thing, and I know like there's no running from it. Like there's no running from this. Everybody I think is Islam. Like this is everybody. It's just if you're proud to say it, kind of thing.
That doesn't matter, Raj. What matters is, do you believe it to be true? It doesn't matter if you are sinning. It doesn't matter if you are proud to say it or not. Do you believe Islam is true?
Definitely, yeah.
I think
because there's only one God watching all over us, and then,
Bro, this is the thing. If I were you, I would take my Shahada, bro. I would become a Muslim because what you've just said there. Let's go through this, right? Do you believe Jesus is God?
No. I believe he was a very great man that God had sent down, not as his son, but just with great teachings as a prophet, and just as like all the other prophets.
Right. So that's what the Muslim position is, yeah?
No.
Do you believe that one God exists and is worthy of worship?
Definitely, yeah. Only one.
Right. And you watched the David Wood debate, so you've seen all my arguments. What do you think about the Prophet Muhammad? Do you accept that him being the final messenger? Is there any hesitation you have of him being the final messenger?
I do. Now with that, I actually do, because prophets came before him. So one can say that prophets cannot come after him.
Well, so the thing is, we have a verse in the Quran which stipulates that. And also the fact that he said it himself, La nabiyya ba'di, that there's no prophet after me. So if he was a true prophet and he said that, then that would have to be in place. However, the question is, in the first place, was he a true prophet or not? Now you got to think about his life. Okay, you got to think about this man's life. He was seen as the truthful and trustworthy one in his community. Okay, for all this time, no one had anything to say about his attributes of trustworthiness. And then he received revelation at the age of 40. Okay, he was persecuted with his friends and people that had become Muslim for 13 years. And then he moved to Medina. Now, in that persecution, they offered him everything. They offered him money, wealth, just to sacrifice this message of Islam and to compromise with them. And he never compromised with them, even if it meant for the death of some of his followers like Sumayya and others, if the torture of people like Bilal, his friends, and so on, and he himself being tortured. Even when he became the leader of Medina, you've got to think about the fact that he had to put his life literally and physically on the line every other year. Every year on average he'd have 2 wars, and he's not sending people to war and just sitting at home waiting for the results. He was going and fighting with them, man, on the front lines. They were literally hiding behind him, some of them fighting behind him. And so he was on the front lines, putting his life on the line for this mission. And what is he coming with? He's coming with the idea of one God, believing in one God, worshiping one God. And eventually he was, all of these predictions that said that he was going to eventually become successful and that he was going into Mecca without any fighting happening. Because, you know, if you think about it, the Quran states that you're going to go into Mecca محلقين رؤوسهم ومقصرين لا تخافون فعلم ما لا تعلمون. You know, that you were going to go into Mecca with your hair, you know, shaved off or trimmed, and Allah, He knew what you didn't know. So in other words, there's a prediction even in the way that the Prophet was going to become victorious, that it was be without fighting. They went into Mecca without fighting, and he, you know, overtook the area, purified it, made it a place for monotheism, where everybody until this day who is a Muslim direct their prayers towards that area, towards Mecca. There's too much in this story. There's too much in the story to indicate or to think that it was somehow fabricated or contrived, or that this man, you know, was not being honest and genuine. Do you agree with me on this?
Yeah, definitely. It's true. It speaks true. The Taliban just took over Afghanistan and the US went running. Nobody.
That's completely different. That's a different level.
This is
a different level. Honestly, it's on level. And when you think about how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like, you know, if you read his life and you look at the Quran, bro, the message of the Quran is so clear. It is the same message as Abraham and Moses and Jesus, which is to worship one God. How can one go wrong worshiping one God, bro? How can one go wrong? And you know, if someone does this, you will not regret it. You will feel like, honestly, you have made the right decision. It will ground you, it will anchor you, bro. It will give you a psychological focus. Bro, the Quran states something so powerful. I want you to think about it. أيحسب الناس حسب الإنسان أن يترك سدى. Does the individual think, or the human being think, that he will just be left aimless? Like, are we purposeless in this world? Like, have we got nothing to do? Is there an objective purpose or not? The purpose of life, Brother Raj, is to do what everything else in creation is doing, namely submitting the will to God. Everything is submitting its will to God. Now, how do we synchronize with the rest of the creation? We do so by worshipping or submitting to the same higher power that everything else in creation is submitting to, willingly or unwillingly. And that is Allah. That is the Creator, God. Once you do that, you realize your purpose immediately. You will be shocked at how that will change your life and direct it in ways that nothing else can. Whether it's taking drugs, whether it's the alcohol you consume, whatever it is, nothing that you do or have done or will ever do will give you the meaning, the nourishment, the direction, the will to live as purpose from a transcendental order called God will ever do. Worshipping one God, bro. So how about it? How about it, bro? How about today will be the day in front of the hundreds of people watching at home, and me and you, Raj and Sabur, and all of us were going to enjoy this time, and all you really have to do is admit what you've already admitted, that there's only one God worthy of worship, and that Muhammad is his messenger, and then you take our details and we'll guide you through the process after that. What do you say, Raj?
There's no run from it for me. There's no run from it for anybody.
Fantastic. So repeat after me, brother, and this will initiate you into the religion of Islam, and then after that it will be something that, you know, we can work with together, my brother, because it's time. There's no running from it, like you said, and we will work with you, bro. Where are you based?
Canada.
Where in Canada?
Ontario.
Where?
We know people there.
Ontario.
Okay, you know people there. Can you
Yep.
We'll sort everything out. So are you ready, brother?
I'm ready.
So repeat after me. Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu
Abdul
wa rasuluh.
wa rasuluh.
I bear witness
I bear witness
that there is no God worthy of worship
that there is no God worthy of worship
except for Allah,
except for Allah.
and I bear witness
And I bear witness
that Muhammad
that Muhammad
is his slave and messenger.
is his slave and messenger.
Takbir.
Allah Akbar. Allah
Welcome, family, my friend, my brother.
Welcome.
You know, that's it now. Now you're one of us. Yeah? Now we
Yeah,
have to go to Ontario and shake your hand and hug. I mean, we wish we could be there. Wallahi, we wish.
Yes.
That would be so cool. I'm a fan of you guys, for real. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
now you've made us a fan of you, and I
That's
think the
it.
hundreds of people that are saying Allahu Akbar and are so happy that you're part of their family. Look how many people in this chat that are so happy that you are part of their family. Send you, and someone as handsome as you is going to get too many marriage requests. So we're gonna have to tell you how that works. Okay, this is going to be too much. In the community, you're going to cause too much.
Don't worry, you're gonna get
division.
someone younger than 75.
about that, I've been even learning about women, even in the Quran, about nice, sincere, and decent women as well.
Well, we'll talk about this already. We have to get the prayers first. We'll get the prayers first. We'll get this and that. But bro, it's well, I feel like this is.
Can you put your?
amazing.
I'm gonna put my email address in the private chat. Can you see that? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
The Darwinian.
Yeah, send them your number as well if you can, because maybe we can get some people to WhatsApp and
Yeah, Ontario. We know people there.
Okay, yeah.
In delusions. You know what, my brother? Yeah, this is like an amazing moment, because you've honored us. Honestly, this is the
Yes.
best thing.
Yes.
We come on these lives. Hijab starts talking about something. I start thinking, should I have to cancel this live? But you've made our day. You've you made our day, bro. You
You
made
made
our
it mine. Honestly, I'm a fan of you guys, especially of Muhammad, for real. Honestly, just to speak to him
Yeah,
right
that's-
now is crazy.
No, brother,
I'll
like
get
we are both fans of you. We mean this. We mean this.
We mean this. What you've done is, we're jealous of you right now, because you're a fresh soul.
Wow.
You're somebody sinless.
Wow.
Sinless.
Wow,
like
wow.
there's nothing
I don't
on
know
you.
about that one. I don't know about sinless.
No, you
No,
are.
you are.
All your sins are forgiven.
Now, because when you embrace Islam, it's like your mother has given birth to you all new again.
Mhm.
You are literally now clean. In fact, it's recommended that you have a shower. You look like a very clean man, anyways, having lots of showers, looking quite good, looking quite clean.
I need a shower. I went out today.
Yeah, we have a shower now. When you're having that shower, it's going to be even better, because it's like a spiritual rejuvenation, bro. And what we'll do is we'll send you, the first thing is you need to learn how to pray.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll send you information on how to pray. Okay, and that will change your life. That's the game changer, bro. Let me tell you something. It might seem like a mundane activity, but I tell you something, there is nothing in the day more important than when you pray.
Yeah.
I sometimes do it in the shower. Usually in the shower, because it feels so good. I feel like it's
No. When you pray, there's a way you got to do it. So you got to wear you got to cover from your navel to your knee. You've got to be washed up. You've got to do like ablution. There's a nice, easy way you can learn this, and you do it 5 times a day. And I think it will change your life because it's like a spine. It's this spiritual spine of your day.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an anchorage.
I
bro.
like that.
Yeah, it will structure your day in a certain way. It's like you're not just haphazardly doing things, bro. It will give you that guidance, man. Sometimes you just need that. It will help you answer the question, what am I doing right now, right today, and with my life?
Yeah, and I think like doing that like in increments of the day, it's also a reminder. Also.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly, Raj. Exactly, bro. Your people love you already, bro, because your attitude, you got glowing and illuminating attitude. You got charisma, natural charisma. The people love you. Look, can you see?
I'm not even reading chat right here, but thank you.
Yeah, they all love you, man. Because now you've become part of a huge family. Okay, we're all part of the same family now, and we're all together. Like this is, if I was there in Ontario, I would, I'd love to go through the process with you and talk to you even some more. But we're always here for you, bro. On Saturdays, if you need to come on will prioritize you, my brother, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got
Any questions you have, anything that you want, just let us know, man.
Yeah. And what I would say is, look, if you look at these bodybuilders or generally people that go to the gym and
Like
flex.
Mohammed over there.
Get in there. Oh!
No, please talk about me.
Yeah. Anyway, so the thing is, you can't go to the gym for continuous 24 hours and do nothing for the rest of the month. It's better that you go to the.
No, I can do this.
Oh, okay. So what you do is you do something small and consistent every day, and that will lead to something far better, right?
Yeah.
Likewise, in Islam, and this is something a hadith that Hijab previously said in the stream, right? That if you try and overdo it,
so, yeah.
you overwhelm yourself. The thing is, you take everything easy.
Yes.
Yeah. So you slowly change your lifestyle. You don't automatically become a Superman tomorrow, Raj. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So you take your time. You get things right, but you don't need to be like, oh my God, these people are doing this and I'm not doing this. Like, you take everything slowly. The main thing is, look, the purpose of life in Islam is worship. And there's 3 pillars of worship: love, hope, fear. So you got to make yourself have the love of Allah, the hope in Allah, and the fear in Allah. You got to have that throughout your day. And your main thing, you're already doing it. He's read up to Surah 40 in terms of the Quran.
That's nearly finished, bro.
Yeah.
So it was the English one. I want to learn Arabic and read the real one, but sorry, go on.
That's something we're going to facilitate for you, brother.
Inshallah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're already on that path of gaining knowledge. And through the email, once I get your number, because I don't want to put it in the private chat, then I can send you lectures. Hijab can give you some advice as well. But the main thing is that you need to connect yourself with some Muslim friends right now. Do you have any Muslim friends?
No, I don't.
Well, okay, you got 2 right here, bro. What are you talking about, bro?
Thank you.
But other than this, we'll connect you with local people in Ontario. Ontario, I don't know how you say it. Yeah. So we will connect you with some local people there. But do you not have any Muslim friends, like from school or college or anything?
I have one, but I don't think he really practiced. I think he was just kind of growing up and he didn't.
There's a lot of people in Ontario.
There's loads. Yeah. We have actually we have a team. We have a team up there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, we can connect you with them. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 28 since yesterday.
28. Okay, nice. Yeah, that's a good age to accept Islam, man.
That's a perfect age.
That's such a good age.
Yeah.
Young man.
Yes.
Like this is something you were saying earlier, that when you're younger, you can change mold yourself in a
Exactly.
you get past 40, you're set. You're set in your ways. You're fixed. There's actually some good psychological evidence as well. As you get older, you just become rigid. So it's a very good age. Very, very good age.
But I think even people past 50 can change their mind.
Of course. But it's easier when you're younger.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like, for example, you've read up to halfway through the Quran right now.
No, it's chapter 4, man. He's read like, I would say 8%.
80%.
Yeah.
Like this much left.
Allah left. So the thing is, when you're young, you can do that. Like you that's something that you have time for, you have energy for, you have passion for.
Yeah.
But as you get older, these types of things. So anybody can change, but it's such a beautiful thing coming to Islam at this young age.
To me, I think everybody is Islam.
Well, on the fitrah.
That's just my belief. Like, I think it's already
in you.
Yeah.
The fitrah. There's something known as the fitrah that's within us, right?
And just that you naturally believe in
you
God.
naturally believe in God and the worship of God alone. You naturally, naturally, we as human beings, we have this inclination towards God. And even if somebody says, "Oh, I don't believe in God," whatever, when they get diagnosed with cancer, when they go through problems, as it says in the Quran, when they're on the ship and water's coming here and there, that's when they start calling out to God, right? So the thing is, it's deep within us. We know this is the truth, which is why you know, when you read the Quran as a sincere person, you'll recognize it because it's within you. You know that this is the truth.
Mhm.
Wow, man. Raj, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you, bro, man.
Yeah,
Honestly.
thank you so much for letting me on.
No, I mean, it's
Come
wonderful.
on, now it's you that's letting us. And
Yes, absolutely.
Anytime, bro.
And the quality of this conversation compared to the previous one with the 75-year-old woman and the Dr. Pepper jokes, yeah, brother, you made our day. You know what I mean?
That was a good conversation as well.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we end? Because I think it's 1 o'clock here, so we're going to end the stream as well, inshallah.
Just thank you for letting me on. I want to tell Muhammad I'm a big fan, since especially recording and everything. And yeah, just thank you so much for letting me on.
Thank you as well, man. Honestly,
Thank you.
I appreciate everything. Honestly.
Did you take the email address from the chat?
Yeah, I did. I copied it. I'm gonna email you my number.
Yeah, please,
Fantastic.
please do. And if I've written it wrong, on my YouTube, on every single video, it's got my email address there.
Okay.
And worst comes to worst, just message me on Twitter, because that's where I start trolling the Chinese Communist Party. So I'm always on Twitter harassing them. Anyway, not harassing them, but you get my point. Okay, so let's end it there. Brother Raj, may Allah bless you. Hijab, you want to give any message to the people before we end?
No, it's just been a pleasure speaking to Raja. He's really made our day, and everybody can make dua or supplication for Raj.
Ameen.
That he stay on the deen and have a steadfast be steadfast and learn the religion, and for all of us as well to be the same. And welcome to the family, Raj. Honestly, we are so happy with what's transpired today with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Nice guy, this guy.